it's time to end the Big Ten versus SEC conference debate. Like, let's just end this right here, right now. I have proof on this paper from past years, from current years, from just overall eyeball test. This paper right here is going to tell us which conference is better, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So SEC or Big Ten? Let's dive into it. So if you're the Big Ten, you're going to have an argument, of course. What is the Big Ten's argument to say, hey, we're the better conference and we should have the bigger say in the playoff? Well, this is the Big Ten's argument. Go ahead and throw it on the screen. A few of their achievements on the screen here. So the Big Ten's argument would be they have the last three national champions, Ohio State, Michigan, Indiana. Total revenue, the Big Ten reported a staggering $1.47 billion in total revenue for the 2024-2025 year. The SEC lagged behind, reporting roughly $1.1 billion. So that is roughly $360 million more dollars that the Big Ten generated than the SEC this past year. Again, this is just data. We'll dive into the logistics, like the eyeball test later. Also, school payouts. The Big Ten distributed a massive $79.9 million full share payout to its member schools. SEC received significantly less, averaging roughly $72.4 million. Again, these are just data points. I'm not trying to prove anything here, but I'm just giving you data points to help back up your argument to make sure you're on the right side of this. All right. What about SEC? What's the SEC's argument? Well, the SEC's argument would be they have the last 20 years, SEC programs have captured 14 of the last 20 national championships. So that is a lot. I don't know what the math is there. Maybe 60% roughly of the last, 65% roughly of the last national champions, the last 20 years. All-time record versus SEC, or all-time record, SEC teams hold a commanding 101 and 68-2 all-time record against the Big Ten. So they've roughly 30-ish more wins against the Big Ten than the Big Ten has against the SEC in the all-time record. The decade-by-decade control. The Big Ten has not won a decade-long head-to-head record against the SEC since the 1970s. So it has been, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020. It has been 56 years roughly. That is kind of crazy if you think about it. But hey, that's where we're at this point. So the SEC won the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, 2010s, and carrying the winning edge into the 2020s. Here's another stat for the SEC. The record-breaking 2026 draft, the SEC produced a historic record-breaking 87 players selected in the 2026 NFL draft, shattering its own previous record of 79. The Big Ten lagged well behind with 68 selections. So that right there is the data points. That right there tells you exactly what the difference is, what the achievements are for these conferences. Now, let's dive into the eyeball test. When you look at each conference, what do you feel? Which conference do you think is better? I'm going to dive into that right now. So, the Big Ten for me is better at the top. So, the Big Ten, in my opinion, is better when it comes to the Ohio States, the Oregons, the Michigans, the USCs, the Penn States. That to me is better than the SEC in terms of on-field playoff head-to-head results. And I'm talking mainly last 5 years-ish, because that's kind of where I'm kind of getting a lot of my info. That other stuff was kind of just for you to think about. The SEC is much more of a deeper conference. So the SEC is better when it comes to the mid-tier and below. So when you would take the bottom of the Big Ten and put them up against the bottom of the SEC, in my opinion, the bottom of the SEC is better. They're deeper. So that's my opinion. I think that the SEC is a better overall rounded conference when it comes to the full-length conference. The Big Ten is a better conference when it comes to specifically the top of the conference. So when it comes to playoff wins in the last 5 years, when it comes to champions in the last 5 years. So that's my opinion. Now, yours could change and yours could be something totally different, but I'm going to give you the argument for both teams. Just look at these results. Look at Don't look at bowl game head to head because and don't even look at head to head record. Look at success. Look at things like talent. Look at things like recruiting rankings. Look up the last 5 years of recruiting rankings. Look up the last 5 years of playoff success. Do those things and that research before you make your final decision. Because if you go to the around the water cooler with your buddies and you say, "Oh, the SEC is the better conference," or "the Big Ten's the better conference," and it's not even close. I hate the saying where people say, "and it's not even close," because that means it's really close if you're saying that. So please do your research before you do this. I've done mine, and it turns out in the last 5-ish years, the Big Ten is the better top conference, and the SEC is the better overall, mid to bottom conference. They're better in that position. So again, let me know in the comments which conference you think is better. Let me know why, because don't just say the Big Ten's better and it's not even close, or the SEC's better and it's not even close. Tell me why it's not close, or tell me why it is close. Make sure you let me know in the comments and give a little description of your argument. So that is kind of my SEC versus Big Ten argument, kind of finishing that up, ending that with a bang. But yeah, there we go. That's my take. Let me know in the comments your take on that.